Why no hurricane has ever crossed the equator. Hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones are not the same, but they all share one peculiar quirk. These weather phenomena never cross the equator. Moreover, they rarely form within 5 degrees latitude of that line. This is because of something called the Coriolis force. The rotation of the Earth affects oceans and air masses. In the northern hemisphere, they will rotate counterclockwise. In the southern hemisphere, they will rotate clockwise. The Coriolis force is 0 at the equator. It's also at its weakest near the line. Cyclic storms are caused by the Coriolis force. That's why they don't form within 400 miles of the equator. Also, storms cannot change their direction once formed. Crossing the equator would require them to do so. So what would happen if a cyclic storm reached the equator? It would probably simply lose its momentum. The mighty hurricane would end up as a massive volume of hot air. But we don't really know because it hasn't happened yet. The closest a storm has ever approached the line was in 2001. A cyclone over Indonesia came to within 100 miles. But it never got any closer. So what's the difference between hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons? It's mostly technical. All of these phenomena are large tropical storms. Typhoons form in the western part of the Pacific Ocean. In the Indian Ocean, they are called cyclones. Hurricanes form in the North Atlantic or the Eastern Pacific. Tropical cyclones is often used as a catch-all term. Occasionally, a storm will cross over and get 2 labels. This happened in 2006 with the OK. It arose in the central North Pacific as Hurricane OK, but then the storm wandered into the Northwest Pacific. There it became known as Typhoon OK. OK thus traveled from Hawaii to Alaska. What about the Southeast Pacific or the South Atlantic? These places get no hurricanes, typhoons, or cyclones. 90% of them form within latitudes 20 degrees north or south of the equator. That's because they require a particular water temperature. The waters have to be at least 81 degrees Fahrenheit for major storms to form. The Southeast Pacific and South Atlantic are tropical ocean basins as well, but they are colder than the rest. This is due to the Peru Current and the Benguela Current. They carry cool water from higher latitudes into these 2 basins. However, 10% of large tropical storms are exceptions. One such exception was Hurricane Catarina. It made landfall in Brazil in 2004. Catarina is the only hurricane-strength storm on record in the South Atlantic. Another question many people have is about the names. Who picked Catarina or OK in the first place? The naming system is international and used by meteorologists. Hurricanes are named alphabetically from 6 rotating lists. For example, the 2023 list started with Arlene and ended with Whitney. It will be used again in 2029. A developing cyclone isn't immediately given a name. That only happens when it officially becomes a tropical storm. For that, it needs to have sustained winds of at least 39 miles per hour. A tropical storm becomes a hurricane at 74 miles per hour. Have you ever seen a large tropical storm with your own eyes?